You're listening to Paris Undressed on Paris Underground Radio.
Welcome to Paris Undressed. I'm Kate Kemp-Griffin, your host and the author of Paris Undressed, The Secrets of French Lingerie. Every week, we go behind the seams of the lingerie capital of the world to explore femininity and sensuality. And if you listen carefully, tuning into both the conversation and the whispers of your body, you'll find joy, beauty, and delight. My guest today is Liliana Mann, founder of Linea Intima, a chain of luxury lingerie stores in Toronto, Canada. With a passion for lingerie and a discerning eye for quality, Liliana offers a contemporary selection that includes French brands such as Simone Pérèle, Lise Charmel, Aubade, and Empreinte. In today's podcast, Liliana shares her expertise and philosophy about helping women feel beautiful from the inside out. Hello, Liliana. Welcome to the Paris Undressed podcast.
So nice to be with you. Thank you so much.
You are the founder of Linea Intima, a network of lingerie boutiques in Canada. Perhaps you could tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and what did you want to be when you were a young girl?
We go to all our secrets.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Romania, in Bucharest, 67 years ago. And I always wanted to be an architect. But things change. I was working in architecture for a long time. I did study, but my love for lingerie brought me back to my passion.
And did you have an interest in fashion at all as a young girl?
Well, growing up in Romania, we had nothing. So from a very young age, I would take my mother old dresses and make dresses for my dolls. And then when I was about 13, I made for the first time clothing for myself. I made a skirt and a blouse, and everybody was giving me compliments, and I loved doing it. And really, that was my only way of getting anything fashionable there.
And who taught you to sew? How did you learn how to sew your own clothes?
Self-taughting. I had no other choice. The need makes it a very good teacher.
And your journey to Canada, when did you arrive in Canada?
In 1980, I was already married and I had 2 children, and I couldn't find any work in architecture, and I was kind of desperate. And I started working in a bank as a head teller. It's funny, not long ago, I was thinking, how many different jobs have I done before I got to what I was supposed to do? And the number is actually 13. I did 13 different things, different kind of jobs, totally different from each other before I came to what I was supposed to do.
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes you think as well that these jobs are the ones that almost stop you from getting somewhere. But in fact, without those experiences, you wouldn't have been able to do what you do so well now. So they're all sort of building blocks to creating and being where you're supposed to be.
I totally agree. They were like steps. Everything prepared me from what I'm doing. I learned from each of them that I put to good use in my job now.
And we're going to talk about your work as an entrepreneur and the lingerie boutiques that you have created, but I'm interested in just the aspect of you coming to Canada as a young adult and how that resonates with many of us in Paris who are the expats, making a new place our home when language isn't necessarily that easy, customs and cultures aren't the same, and just finding your own place and space and almost having to leave behind something that you knew, and in your case, architecture, and having to sort of now say, oh, now what? What do I do? And how do I do it? And finding your way. As a young woman, what was your relationship to, you spoke about fashion, but how did you feel about your body?
I'm probably going to give you an answer that's true for most women. I did not like myself. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was too skinny. At the time, I was very skinny. I didn't have any boobs. Since we're talking about lingerie, I can say that. And I felt very inadequate. I was hiding behind my clothes. I always wore very large clothes to appear larger and bigger everywhere. I wasn't feeling comfortable in my body, not at all.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us about your first bra?
My first bra, oh my God. No, I did not wear bras for a very long time. Remember, that was the time that you're supposed to burn your bras and you're not wearing them. And coming from Romania, there was no money, there were no bras, and I really didn't have anything to put in them. So no, I had no bras, and I remember going to very private now. I would remember going to a gynecologist, and he asked me about my all kind of things we were discussing, and I said that I always sleep in my underwear and I never wear a bra. And he looked at me, he was an older man, and he said, "My dear, you have it all wrong. You should wear a bra until you go to sleep. A bra is supporting you and will prevent you from sagging. And you should discard your underwear as soon as you come home and let everything breathe." And that was a very good lesson because I really started to wear my bras then. But lingerie, I always loved lingerie. So that was not a hard thing to do.
What 3 words best describe you?
Positive, happy, and loving to help others and make others laugh.
And that all happens, I think, every single day in a lingerie boutique.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm becoming a friend, a psychiatrist, the keeper of secrets. I'm told about all the happy occasions or the bad occasions. I feel I have friends. It's not customers. It's much more than that, which is wonderful.
And so when you started Linea Intima, let's just go back to the beginning. How did you find the name and your first store?
You laugh. I have stories about everything. I couldn't find a name. Every name that I thought of was already taken. So I came with Linea Intima lingerie. And I was talking to my lawyer because we were trying all the names to put them through the system. And he said, "That's it. You have your name, Linea Intima Lingerie Inc., which is the letters of Lily, and this is your name." And this is how I became Linea Intima Lingerie.
Lovely. An extension of your personality as well.
Exactly.
And then like that, it's just decided. And which store was your first store?
Our first store was in Richview. It was in a small outside plaza. It was very, very nice in Etobicoke. A friend of mine had a clothing store there, and she kept on telling me that I should open a lingerie store and she will help me with her customers. And it was a period of time. At the time, I had a manufacturing of sleepwear called Romantic Night. We promise you the first one, the rest is up to you. And it wasn't doing very well. Prices were high, and producing everything in Canada was very hard, and I refused to go offshore. So business was tough, and because of her help, I opened the store beside her, and the rest is history. That was 24 years ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You glossed over this manufacturing part of Romantic Night. So even the self-taught sewing and these cut-up dresses that you did in Romania for your dolls ended up, you were able to convert that into a brand, and you were designing and manufacturing in Canada. And it was a sleepwear collection that you sold through lingerie outlet and department stores.
We sold all over the world. Even Princess Di had one of our sets. There was one Christmas in, I think, in 89, that it just happened that all the windows in all the major stores, at Saks and at Neiman Marcus and at Galeries Lafayette, they all had Romantic Night in the window. That was a very proud moment.
Well, part of the podcast is this idea of going behind the seams of the lingerie industry, and you literally have. You've created the seams of some of these garments. So it was a manufacturing decision to stop making Romantic Night collection, and then you decided to open the store instead. Was there a particular reason to change, and not why didn't you just start another lingerie brand? What was the jump or the change to actually go into the retail aspect of it?
Actually, I love women, so I love the idea of retail. And when we opened the first store, I still had the manufacturing, and I was juggling everything and running from one to another. And my dream was that I would be able to open, that it will retail will be so amazing that I'll be able to open a few stores, and those stores will be able to continue the manufacturing. In retrospect, I really wish it would happen because I would have been able to have all the sleepwear that I really dream of. But in reality, the stores grew and they were very successful, but not to the point that they were to keep the manufacturing going. And it was eating all the profits. It was very, very hard. So I decided to dedicate myself to the stores. And 2 years after I opened the stores, I closed the manufacturing.
Oh, okay. All right. But that experience of manufacturing and making the product undoubtedly helped you in being able to communicate and speak with women about their lingerie and about how things are made, which is such a fundamental aspect of lingerie, how it's made. I understood quite late the importance of how it's made. And I'd love to talk about that in particular because you curate a very luxurious selection in your stores that include a lot of French brands. Chantel, Simone Pérèle, Lise Charmel, and Empreinte are just some examples. What is just so special about French lingerie, and why have you decided to offer French lingerie in your store?
Oh my God. If somebody needs to ask me that, they don't know enough about lingerie. The French have it all. They have the know-how. I'm comparing it to like wine. When you sip a good sip of wine and you know it's good, it's the same with lingerie. When you touch it, when you wear it, when you put it on, the fit, the feeling, the lace, the colors, everything is an enchantment. So it's really the nicest lingerie there is. Lise Charmel, you didn't mention in your list of stores. It's one of a very good brand for us. I put it on and it's mine. It feels like me. It feels like my body. It carries my body. It feels comfortable. So yes, of course, French lingerie is it.
These brands are expensive, and I'd like to be able to talk about the money aspect of it because money is an important factor when considering any purchase. But in many cases, it's not really about the money as it is about perceived value and not the value of the product, but the value of oneself. And so, for instance, comments that I hear often from women, such as I'll buy beautiful lingerie once I've lost 10 pounds, or I don't have anyone to wear it for, actually reveal a truth more about self-worth and self-confidence than it is about lack of funds, lack of money. And I don't particularly have a question about that, but I would just like to actually share a little bit of this space to talk about money and value and this idea even about sustainability, that buying less of things in general and putting more value back on the quality. There is a link about self-worth and the deserving of good lingerie that's more than just about money. And I'm wondering what you can say about that and what you hear or see in your stores.
You touched on such an important point of view because it's true. I remember once a customer that was very wealthy and she was buying the cheapest and always black and beige. She was buying only always very basic things. And and I could see how she looks at herself in the mirror. It was like she doesn't look good and she's not worth it. And she was a very beautiful woman. And I remember at one point she was a very good customer. And at one point I asked her, like what did somebody ever tell you or did to you that you'll loathe yourself to that point? And she opened the eyes to me and she said, I never thought about it like that. And really I made her, I pushed her and made her buy a beautiful bra. And I said, I want you in the morning to put it on, close your eyes, look in the mirror and tell me, how does it make you feel? And she came the next day and she gave me a hug and she said, I opened my eyes in front of the mirror. I looked at myself and I started to cry. I never liked myself so much. So isn't this story tell it all? Women, that feeling of I don't need to buy beautiful lingerie because I can't show it to anybody really gets me. Because I always tell myself and everybody, who is the most important person to you? If it's not you, if something is off. You are the only one, the first one that you should look after. Yes, children, yes, husband, yes, friends, everything else, but you, without you, it's like in the plane. What do they say? To put their mask on you first and then look after the others. So it's really the same thing. And so buying for yourself beautiful things, liking yourself, Lingerie is the first thing you put on and the last thing you take off. It's the closest thing to your body. Shouldn't it be amazing? Shouldn't it be soft and nice and hold you and make you look your best? That's the most important thing.
And now, back to Paris Undressed.
You mentioned money. When it comes to money, really good lingerie is the cheapest lingerie you can buy because they last for so long that per wear, a Lise Charmel bra, it's much cheaper than any other inexpensive brand.
Yes, and this especially, well, it isn't if you think you're always, these cliches about saving it for a special occasion, or it's expensive if you never wear it except never or once, But if you are buying a select number of pieces and, there's sales and there's promotions and there's different elements, I think the money is more really, the more I think about it, is more linked to I don't deserve this. It's more linked to that because we all know if we want something, we figure out how to get it.
That's so true.
A little bit can come off the grocery bill, a little bit, we can buy, and I'm guilty of the same. If I like something that's inexpensive, I might buy the 3 different colors. So the amount comes to the same. And I'm recognizing that in myself now with the sustainability and the choices and just how ingrained it is in us to think of the deal. And especially in North America, where selling is all about more for less or the deal. So we're just primed. We're looking for the deal. And if there's no deal, then we somehow don't think we're getting any value, as opposed to learning about just the beauty of beauty and one of it and wearing it and enjoying it. So I think that's one aspect. Then I also wanted to know, in terms of this wearing it for ourselves, I don't think I learned that or interpreted that from the marketing of lingerie. It was always sold to me as this lens to be seen through by somebody else. So it was more about always putting it on for somebody else. And then that's where the self-judgment comes in. But only when I started looking at lingerie and understanding that how I feel in it is actually more important than how I look in it, then I actually started thinking about myself and feeling about myself differently. And the self-loathing went away. You start to feel it, and then you look and you see yourself differently when you feel different about it. I'm sort of wondering about the lingerie marketing of things. You see so many women coming into the change rooms and they're expecting, there's always a fault, right? They always think there's something's wrong with them and they need fixing. How do you create this intimate space and be able to just nourish and nurture them into a different perspective of themselves?
That's very hard, especially it's very hard when you have a lot of people in the store or when they come in once and they are so closed in. You really need to have a customer that's more willing to share and you make her feel comfortable. You open yourself up. You talk about yourself. In our stores, my husband comes often with me to work and he sits in the back and he says, all the time I hear laughter. What are you guys laughing about? I never been in a men's store that in the changing room, guys are starting to talk and laugh with each other. I'm trying to create that atmosphere that women feel safe and among friends. So really, customers start to talk to each other, encourage each other, or give each other opinions. It's really becoming a fun club kind of atmosphere, which is wonderful. But of course, it doesn't always happen. It's very hard because sometimes you see women that are suffering, or you have a woman that comes in and she can't make a decision, or she won't make a decision until her husband looks at her in her bra and he gives his okay. And then you see the husband saying, I don't think it looks good on her. Do you have something bigger? Do you have something? I'm the expert and he's trying to take over. And that's a way of taking control. And I almost feel like abusive. I love this new sign that they can make now saying that they are in in a problem. I almost feel like some women maybe need to tell, even in a store, that they feel they are in an abusive relationship and they need help. It's incredible. Also, in a lingerie store, women tend to open themselves more. So if whoever is in that lingerie store, it's receptive and kind and understands, that can be such a uplifting and life-changing interaction.
Well, having the man's opinion is certainly part, or your partner, it doesn't have to be a man or anybody's viewpoint, is always a different component and a welcoming aspect to any kind of conversation, but not if it's the overriding decision, you know? And I think there's a lot of us who don't feel as if we can even, I mean, when I'm thinking about my lingerie tours and with women in the change room as well, answering the very simple question whether or not she likes it or not is a big question. You know, it's, I don't know if I like it. Do you like it? Do you, you know, and she doesn't know me. She's met me maybe half an hour earlier, but suddenly my opinion matters more than her own opinion. And I think it's because we just haven't really given much time to think about what we like or not like. There's a should in there. There's a lots of shoulds, and what do other people think?
There's also a lot of self-doubt among women.
Mm.
So many times I don't ask, do you like it? My question is, how does it make you feel? Yes, it's comfortable. Yes, it feels right. How does it make you feel? And then a woman answered to me, it makes me feel beautiful. It's a win. I had once a woman saying, it makes me feel like I don't deserve it. And it almost made me cry. And honestly, it brought tears to my eyes. And I said, why do you feel that way? She said, because it's so beautiful. And I say, and why do you feel you do not deserve it? And she says, because I've never had anything like that. And I never thought that things like this are for me. Isn't that sad?
It is, and it's often what we see in change rooms and within women once we get together. There's a universal understanding of this sort of self-doubt and criticism. And I find it's never about just a bra. It's never about just a bra. There's so much more to come forward. And it could be from, you know, how your mother told you about something, or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or your perception of yourself, or your religion, or there's all these aspects that come in surging in as you stand, you know, millimeters away from the mirror and you're putting on a bra, and
You're naked and vulnerable.
you're completely vulnerable, and I just think I want people to understand that this needs space. You know, give yourself space and time to let these sort of different sensations register. And so while that client of yours, that customer, said that she didn't think she felt like she could deserve it, that does sound tragic. And yet at the same time, how beautiful that she could actually realize that with you and then be able to understand that part of herself. And I'm hoping you're going to tell us that she ended up buying the bra. Did she end up buying the bra?
She did. She did, and she bought the panty to match, which she said that it was the first time she ever done it.
Yeah, the panty. Well, listen, that's a great segue because panties are a big deal. The word dépareillé in French is mismatched. And as North Americans, we don't actually see the lingerie ensemble, the bra and the panty, as two complementary pieces. The value of the panty isn't given the same gravitas as it is in France. You know, we're sort of again back to the deal. We seem to want to have 10 for the price of 2. And if anything, we'll put the budget in for the bra. Why do you think the panty is so underestimated? And why should women give the panty more consideration and more attention?
Well, it's women in North America don't want to spend on panties because you have so much choices of inexpensive panties. And if they are large and they need a good supportive bra, or they are small and they have a lingerie fetish, they could understand spending on a bra. But on a panty, it's like it will get dirty, it will be washed a lot, it will be lost in the dryer, it will be eaten by the dog. They find always an excuse why not to get the panty. It's also expensive in their view, like when you're looking that you can buy panties for $5 a panty, and here you are Lise Charmel panty could be 120. Prima Donna could be, or the Chantel could be 69, 79. It's a lot of money. You can buy 10 panties for that much. But I find that more and more women are open to buy the panty to the bra. Very few are buying two panties to the bra, the way it is in France. I remember shopping in lingerie, Salon de la Lingerie, and buying, I don't know, from a company, let's say buying 30 bras and only 15 panties. So the lady would say, but madame, you didn't buy enough panties. And I would say, well, in Canada, not every woman buy a panty to the bra. And she would say, but in France, we buy two panties to buy. I said, yeah, but in North America, they don't. And the woman looks at me and she says, c'est affreux. How can that be that you don't have a matching set? It's so interesting, that perception, but I see more and more, and it's funny, especially in Lise Charmel, they will always buy the panty to match. It's almost like it's so gorgeous, it has to be a set. Where in a less expensive brand, not less expensive per se, 100 plus, they will say, I can get away with another panty, especially when you're talking about black or nude, the basic colors that you can find another brand inexpensive and they will sort of match.
There's a merchandising component to this too, as consumers going around to sort of the chains. You see heaps of panties on a table, and then you see just the bras on the wall. Actually, as a consumer, often see the two merchandise together. And I know in lingerie boutiques in France, and I've been to your store as well, it's merchandised with the bra and the panty underneath. So I can see the two together. And then, well, not only does the thought come in, but when you're standing in front of the mirror and you have the bra and the panty on, you look at yourself differently because you have to take in the whole of you. So instead of just zooming in on the parts of us that we don't like and with that, fitting room, bright light, just having confirmation that you were right about the part of you that you hate, you can't see that when you're looking at you as a whole in the bra and the panty, and you have this much more beautiful view of yourself, and you see the two together and the design elements that, and you talk about Lise Charmel, and all beautiful brands have this, but you'll notice the finishing touches, whether it's a little bow that's on the top of the panty is actually the same bow that's in the middle of the gore of the bra. And these pieces, they create harmony and balance. And when you wear the two together, you feel that. And we come back to that. Well, when you feel differently about what you're wearing, you see yourself differently as well. And now, back to Paris Undressed. A lot of the French brands think that everybody knows about them, but as consumers, we don't. So let's run through a few of them. Lise Charmel, you carry in your store and you love it. And why do you love it? And tell us a little bit about Lise Charmel.
I love it because it's so beautiful. I love it because it makes me feel beautiful. I love it because it fits perfectly. It's not too much bra, especially if somebody is a little bit more saggy, a little bit more soft tissue on top of the breast. And the Lise Charmel, it's not so much of a full cup. It's more of a demi or a tulip cup. So it's not so full. So you're not so empty on top. It fits just perfectly. It makes you feel amazing. It's very comfortable and it lasts and lasts and lasts. And it's the only brand that when I come home and I show my husband, he says, wow. So that makes it a plus. It's so special. It's designed in France. It's a company, I think, third generation. Some of the laces come from Italy. I think they started to also manufacture a little bit out of France, but still in the EU. So it is considered a European brand.
There's color. There's lots of color in Lise Charmel too.
Every time my agent comes to show me the line, I go like my heart skip a beat. I feel it's so in love. I'm thinking, how can they come again with something that's so gorgeous? I thought they've done it all. The line for next spring, it's absolutely to die for. I want every single piece. Then you want to tell me about Empreinte. Empreinte is unreal, beautiful and comfortable, up to G cup. It has such a support. Everybody says that when they put on an Empreinte bra, they feel like hands are holding their breast from underneath. They feel they are lighter. It's the only brand that I know that has a no seam bra that still gives you a very, not a melon kind of look of breast, but more a forward-in shape that's very, very becoming. It's absolutely gorgeous. They make all the time new colors in the same popular groups like Cassiope. And it's for us, it's the most growing line in our stores.
For young women as well.
Any woman, we carry it from D cup and up because I feel for C cup there are so many choices, and in Canada, Empreinte it's over $200 a bra. But I have a lot of customers that want still the C cup in Empreinte because they love it so much. So we started now to bring it specially for them. But I feel their strength is the D, E, F, and sometimes G, like a 32G would be amazing in an Empreinte bra. To tell you about Chantel. Chantel, I love it a lot. I love it because it's the entry point in our store. It's a less expensive bra that's a very good quality bra, but I feel that they changed a lot in their fit. They changed more to fit the American market. So they changed the way the shape of the wire is, and I for myself, I don't find it as comfortable as it used to be. I don't find it as high end as it used to be, but it's still a very popular line in our store. And they keep on bringing new designs that are very, very smart for the market. Like they make right now a bra that's wider on the sides. So when you're trying to cover the back fat, that particular wing is very becoming. It's a very good addition. What other line, French line to tell you? Simone Pérèle. I love Simone Pérèle. I just had a whole week of advertising on the radio with Simone Pérèle. So French. It's fitting incredible. It's very, very comfortable. It has a lot of give in the fabric, so it hugs you just right. You don't feel too tight in it. It's also a lot of color. So it's a brand that we sell very, very well, and we really love the brand, the company, the owners, our agent, everybody in the chain are amazing.
Well, you've hit on Simone Pérèle is my favorite, is my
Oh,
go-to
really?
brand, and I had to make a choice in my lingerie drawer. I realized one day that it's sort of like bad news on internet. Even though I know I shouldn't be reading it, I tend to go to the bad things, and this was the same thing as in my lingerie drawer. If I kept the things I didn't want to wear, they were the ones I pulled out anyway. So I just decided to create a baseline of what is my go-to. What do I No matter what day it is of the week, when I open my drawer and I pull out whatever, I want to love it. And I only want to have that choice. And I decided that Simone Pérèle was my go-to. And I only have Simone Pérèle, and I put it on, and I love wearing every single piece. I do match both bra and the panty. And if I can't, then I have a color that goes with the bottom and the top. And it changed how I actually even organized my lingerie drawer. It wasn't the same heap mess that things had been before. I had fewer pieces, so I could find things more easily. I washed more frequently, and I treated it like a bit of a jewel. I wash sometimes in the machine, and I also wash
By hand.
yeah, by hand. And I treated it as a bit of a ritual. It was a beauty ritual, and taking care of me in the process of taking care of my clothes. And I love their bra straps. I love how, Simone Pérèle aren't the only ones, but the French brands and the bra straps in general are an aspect of bras that also kind of get overlooked when you don't think they can be a part of the bra that you pay much attention to unless you see them when they're beautiful. And then you realize how much the strap is another piece of almost jewelry on your shoulder, which you see more often than you do your own cups, with a sweater or a blouse, and how the strap itself. And it was in the beauty of the strap and the construction of the strap and the little piece of embroidery that was placed that would keep the strap next to your skin so they wouldn't fall off your shoulders. Those are some of the most beautiful brands. I agree. And for Chantel, it's like they moved into the t-shirt market. They sort of sized up North America and realized that perhaps the t-shirt market and the t-shirt bra, and I was talking about nipples in another podcast, that this idea of showing our nipples or not showing our nipples is not necessarily a choice of ours, but sort of something that we get this idea from somewhere else that maybe we shouldn't show. And now that I've just said the word t-shirt bra, I'd like to know, what do you think of the t-shirt bra and the whole idea of a t-shirt bra itself?
When women come to the store, most of the time they ask for a t-shirt bra or a minimizer. Those are the two words that they use the most. And I tell my staff, do not listen to what women ask you. You start a fitting with what you know it's right for them. In the process of the fitting, you'll show also a t-shirt bra. But when a woman knew only how she would look on a t-shirt bra, and you show her a lacy bra with a seam that will give her direction, that will really minimize her and make her look better. We always ask customers to put on a t-shirt or a blouse on top of their bra. When I show how it fits exactly where the darts are in the outfit, it makes them realize that their t-shirt bra is not their best friend. They always thought they can wear only t-shirts bras, but it's really not the right thing. Yes, it has a place and it should be in our wardrobe, but not to the extent that women in North America want it. So I always go through the explanation of why, showing everything. And I'm very happy to say that most of the time they give it up. I hope they don't give it up because they don't want to upset me, which of course it wouldn't upset me, but almost not go against my opinion, that they give it up because they really see how much better makes them look and feel a bra with a seam.
Yeah, so you've mentioned two things in there that I want to make sure are clear for our listeners, for those of us who don't sew. Liliana's talking about a seamed, those seams that are in the cups, and t-shirt bras or molded bras don't have any seams. And seams have been given a bad rap over the years with this guise of, oh my God, you're going to see a seam underneath your clothes. But can you tell us what seams are and why they're so important in the cup and the shaping of your breasts?
Right. When you go into a molded cup, first of all, when we put the bra, and I hope your listeners know, they should bend forward and they should pick up the top of the wires and jiggle themselves inside the bra. That way, all the breast tissue from the side and it falls inside the cup. It opens the cup of the bra properly. It will make them feel the best and look the best in the bra. That's when you see if the bra is too small or too big and so on. But when the bra fits, that's the best way to put it on. In a molded cup, the shape it's already predetermined, the way the mold of the bra was made. So you do not make any changes. You're going to look mostly flat, more wider to the sides. And when you look at yourself from the top, you will think you look smaller, but actually to the eye of the people looking at you, you look wider, therefore you would look actually bigger. A seam bra is taking the shape of the clothes. It gives you a definition and it pushes the breast forward. It will not be wider on the side, therefore you would look tinier. And you make the clothes fit right. I'm not talking about the Madonna cones kind of look. It is still a round shape, but it doesn't make you wider than your own body. It doesn't push the bras in any direction. It makes you feel more comfortable. It makes you look smaller, and it gives a better shape.
Mm-hmm. And I would definitely encourage anyone listening to, these terms don't necessarily, you might not even notice if you don't know about sewing or how to sew. You might not even notice that a bra has a seam or doesn't have a seam. And so next time you're in a store and shopping around, just try on the difference and just see how your breasts are shaped differently. I always tell people as well, just if you follow the seam, it sort of gives you idea of where the direction, how the shaping's taking place, whether it's coming in from the sides or being supported and lifted up from the middle. There's these pieces are sewn together, and that's another aspect of cost because it requires more sewing to do seams. So in the factory or in the production schedule and the production lineup, it's another step. So every time you have a seam, it's another step. And every time you have another step, it's another cost factor. So that's one reason why some of these brands and bras are slightly more expensive, is because there's more work going into it to make sure that the shape
and more parts.
And more parts, exactly.
In an average good quality bra, they are about 190 or 90 different parts between the
Yes.
elastic and the sides and the straps and the hooks and the bow and the different parts of the lace and so on. There are 90 different components that have to be sewn in order to create the end result. I also suggest to women when they go shopping for their bras or their panties, take with you a few pieces that are the type of clothes you mostly wear. Take a t-shirt if that's what you wear the most. Take a blouse, take maybe a blazer, take a pant that's very tight on. And when you try those pieces that you want to buy, try with different kind of outfits to see the difference it gives you in them. The first time I was the first store that was on TV in Canada talking about bras and bra fitting. And I don't know if your viewers know who Jennifer Valentine is. I mean, your listeners, not your viewers. I'm talking about TV, but we are on tape. It's a show in Toronto that's very well known called Breakfast Television, and they had a very popular celebrity by the name of Jennifer Valentine going to different businesses and talking about the business. And at the time, it was about almost 20 years ago, she had a child and she came back after breastfeeding and after maternity leave, and she looked very big and very low. So I challenged her to come to our store for a bra fitting. And I told her to bring with her the pieces of clothing that are the hardest for her to wear, that she doesn't know what to wear with, and she doesn't feel it looks right. And she came, and of course she looked a lot smaller than she was on TV. And she came with this small t-shirt and everything. And I thought to myself, I put my foot in my mouth on big way on TV. And she thought she's a size 36C. And as a matter of fact, she was a size 32D. And she thought she can wear only t-shirt bras. And I put her in a lacy bra from Aubade. By the way, Aubade is another French line that we forgot to talk about, and it's stunning. I put her in an Aubade demi, and she looked at it and she said, even when I was young, I couldn't wear anything like this. I'm after 2 kids and breastfeeding. Anyway, make a long story short, put her in an Aubade, put on the top that was very tight and very small. And to my amazement, she opened the curtain and she came out in her bra on TV. The people in the studio went silent and said, "What are you doing? You know, it's a morning show." And she said that this is like a bathing suit. I've never felt so good, even before I was pregnant. And of course, she became a very good customer. But when you see the difference, you have to take the leap of faith, and you have to go to a lingerie store with the idea like you're going to a doctor. You're not going to the doctor and tell him what you have and what you should take. The same way, go to a lingerie store and allow them to do what they're good at. Allow them to show you, allow them to prove to you, and allow them to give you what they think is right for you. You'll make the final decision and decide what you want to buy or not, but you should not try to teach them how to do a fitting.
And now, back to Paris Undressed. What's the most frequent question you get asked about lingerie?
How long it will last? What does it cost so much? The seams will show. That's the biggest one. Especially larger women tell me, but I wanted a seamless bra because I don't want the seam to show. And my answer to them is like, do you think that people think you're a statue? Do you think that people look at you will say, oh, look at her breast, how it stands right and doesn't move? Of course, they know you're wearing a bra. So make it be amazing. Let it be lacy and beautiful. Let you feel good. It doesn't matter what the other people see or don't see in the terms of seams for your clothes.
Yeah, I just wonder where even that. I'm guilty of sort of thinking the same thing when I see the texture or the fabric underneath the shirt, and I think, where did I get that idea from that you're not allowed to show texture or fabric underneath the shirt? Why? Who said? Who deemed that we had to be smooth? I mean, I don't know where that comes from. Yet somehow I'm echoing it as a consumer, and so again, in a lot of these things that you find yourself saying, I think it's always interesting to ask yourself, where did that come from? Is that me saying that, or did I hear that from somebody else? And if in the end, if you want a smooth look, then go for your smooth look. But if you find yourself just saying, I don't know why I think that, well, then maybe there's a choice in there that can change. And just figuring out whose voice you're listening to.
But at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, in your own bra, in your own clothes. So it will totally be your decision what you buy, what you wear, how you wear it, and so on. And we all have a certain degree of plainness or of nuttiness, and we have to go with what feels right to us.
How does color fit into the lingerie selection for women and in your store? Is there a tendency to want color, or do people shy away from it, thinking that they need these sensible choices? And how do you offer color?
It's true. Most women want nude and black. They used to shy away even from white bras. It's funny because we used to sell red only because of Christmas and a little bit for Valentine. I find that now we sell a lot of red. I buy red in almost every bra that comes in red. There is a certain, if there is a hue of blue inside the red color, the red bra will not show even under very light clothes. It will show even less than a nude bra. So when I show it, I have to
Okay,
prove
that's
it.
so important. Yeah, say that again, because I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but it's so important. If to talk about this red and the blue hue and how you can wear color underneath neutral colors.
When the red has a hue of blue, it reflects the light differently. So even under a light white, almost sheer top, a red bra will show less than a nude bra. I always have to prove it in the store. I always have to have something in white very close by to prove it. But when they see it, they love it. And really putting underwear or undergarments with color on in the morning, it's proven to giving you more energy and make you more vibrant through the day. I remember a customer that said, I always buy gorgeous lingerie because, and I have nobody special to show them to, but it makes me feel good under. I almost feel like, I'm looking at people and I say, if you knew what I have under. And it gives her energy, which is amazing. So that's what color does. I also like color under white. I remember there was an Andorra talking about Simone Pérèle that came in orange, and it was a gorgeous, beautiful orange. And I wore it with a white linen blouse, and everybody could see I have an orange bra underneath. It becomes almost a part of jewelry. And you mentioned that before, and it's so beautiful. It shows power. It gives you power, and it makes you powerful.
And we walk around in bathing suits, so I'm not really quite sure again where this notion is that our bra can't show. I mean, everything's covered if you're worried about that, but there's sort of something again in the societal norms about what we're allowed to show and what we're not allowed to show, and wearing it as a fashion piece as part of your clothing is also an option, as opposed to just keeping it for yourself underneath. You know, if you have a uniform kind of job where you need to wear a certain kind of jacket or, you know, pant you can wear underneath, is all up to you. And it will change, as you say, the energy of how you move throughout the day. You mentioned a lot the importance of, you know, being in a store and having a conversation. And obviously with COVID, and well, not only just COVID, but there's been so much that's moved on online, and you sell online and you sell in stores. How has, in the last 20 plus years of running your lingerie retail experience, changed in both of these capacities, and what have been some of the advantages and disadvantages of both?
The truth is that if we didn't have the online store, I don't know how we would have survived COVID. I don't know about France, but our stores were closed almost a year and a half. We closed in the middle of March of 2020. We opened for a few months in September of the same year. We closed again before Christmas. And then my Bayview Village store, which is my the biggest store and the best store in terms of sales, was closed until the end of June. As of tomorrow, actually, they change again the capacity of the stores, and we are back to only half capacity. The week of Christmas, the week of Boxing Day. I mean, it's a huge blow to the retail industry. So without the online that grew to being probably 25% of our business, I don't think we would have been alive. We take our online a step further. So yes, we have most of our stock online. People can browse and everything, but we answer every email. We have a video of how to measure yourself and how to fit. I do lives every week. We look at our orders. We have two people that work only on the online. So they look at every order and they check if the person bought before, if there is a change, or if maybe she bought two bras in different sizes, or maybe she bought the same size, but the bras, we know that one is deeper and one is so more shallow. So we know that those two bras will not fit them. So we will take the time and answer and advise and be willing to talk to our online customer. That was a huge help. And I'm sure that it was part of our success online.
Everybody's purchasing has changed as well, and this information and access that you're talking about, being able to have feel that nurturing hand and support, whether it comes in through online or in the store, is just another way of being able to offer that. So once we pass on from this and the online, do you think it will be a permanent change in how women buy their lingerie?
I hope not, because there is nothing as good as an actual fitting. There is nothing as good as to actually feel and touch. If a lot of our customers that come in the store and know their size, they think they can buy now online. But the truth is that bras fit differently, and the fabrics and the stretch in the fabric is different. The shapes are different. So, really, you shouldn't be hooked on a certain size. You should try, and you should make sure that it's the right thing for you. You shouldn't make compromises. You shouldn't tell yourself, oh, it will give up, or I'll lose weight, or so on. It's important to do a fitting. It's bad when it's COVID, but it's good when it's not, because it's really, you know, that you'll keep your customers coming back because they need that fitting.
There's something about a fitting as well. I think of it a little bit like going to the hairdresser, when you tend to just fall into habits of getting what you always got because that's what you're used to. And then sometimes it just takes the eye of somebody else to suggest something else because they see something in you that maybe you didn't even see yourself. And just saying, sure, I'll try that, even though, you know, nobody says you have to buy it. But putting it on, you discover a different aspect of yourself that you hadn't noticed before. And that sort of happens obviously in that human connection of when you're in a changing room together in very close contact. There's a universality of intimacy with women that's really incredibly powerful, even though we don't know each other on a daily, we might not even know each other's names, but suddenly when you're sharing breasts and bras, suddenly everything becomes very familiar, and there's a sisterhood that's immediately accessible, and a trust, and this knowing that this other person really does have your best interest at heart, and can be that helping, nurturing hand in the process. So I do hope the fittings and the contact continue, and that retail finds its own place again. It might need some remodeling and rejigging of how people come shopping, or how people participate in the shopping experience. But that human connection in a lingerie world is indispensable. And now, back to Paris Undressed. What advice would you give a mother, for instance, who would like to initiate a conversation with her young daughter about breasts and lingerie, and how to make this sort of first bra experience one that invites a lifelong journey of self-love and respect?
What a good question. It's so important that very first time that this young person comes to a store to experience with her femininity. And I think the best thing to do is to come once, for the mother to take her daughter with her when she goes shopping for herself, to make the young girl comfortable in the store and see how is the process. It's very important to go to a store that's familiar and comfortable and not invasive. Make sure that you give the young person their own space and their level of flexibility, and how much is comfortable of showing and sharing. That's very important. And so being together, but not invade her space, even for the mother. I had mothers that bring their daughters, and the daughter does not allow her mother to see her in her bra, but she will allow me, which is very interesting. Which, coming back to what you said before, it shows so many other things. I almost feel like, but it was true for me too. I'm thinking I didn't want my mother to see me in my underwear. So I don't know where it's coming from. Kate, you have the good questions. Where is that coming from?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I had a wonderful relationship with my mom, who was a nurse, and she took me bra shopping, and I couldn't have been more mortified. I just wanted the whole thing over with, and I didn't want any attention. I didn't want the breasts either, but and so I don't, even the best of intentions doesn't necessarily land the right way. And that's why I think sometimes, why do you open up on an airplane to a person beside you who you don't even know you passed a dinner tray to, and then suddenly you're telling, sharing very, very personal stories. I think the connection that the mother, I think what you said about bringing the daughter along to all these experiences we have as women, just seeing how being the role model in how does mom ask this, or how does mom ask for help, not necessarily having to share the changing room with your daughter. I'm sure she doesn't want to see necessarily her mother's breasts either. It works both ways, but that this conversation and the language around it, she's exposed to, because it's hard to articulate what to ask for and how to ask for it. And how many of us have walked in and just said yes to whatever to just be able to get out, and we didn't even really hear the question or even know how to answer it. We just wanted out because we were just sort of uncomfortable with it. So I think your suggestion about just bringing people along, and then, let her wander around. You're in the change room and she's wandering around the store. She's going to start seeing things, and she's going to hear things, or absorbing far more than we sort of anticipate. And then, like you said, when they're ready for it, if it's you that the daughter's speaking to and not the mom, well, what a gift that she was able to offer the space in which there was another woman able to offer her insight and her wisdom, and mom was the one that brought you there. That turns out to be a beautiful experience and a memory of such.
Yeah.
And you're introducing just the world of fabric and lace and beauty and intimacy at a level that's just very safe, and at whatever age that we are ready to listen to that sort of conversation. And it's not just limited to young daughters. I'd like to also just hear what your advice is to anyone listening. For instance, what advice would you give to a woman who just at any age feels overwhelmed about buying lingerie, where the idea of going to a lingerie store is just terrifying?
I never met a woman like that. Wow. I never even thought about that.
Well, because she's made it to the lingerie store, that's why. That's
That's true. That's true. You're right. I think allowing somebody space, welcoming them into the store as a woman that never been or never realized her femininity or not feeling comfortable with her femininity or her breast, like you said before, you wanted them to be over with. I think it's
Mhm,
important to go and look and
mhm.
just talk. Maybe don't even do a fitting. Just ask questions. Just kind of when you're trying to swim and the water is cold, you just put your foot in just to get comfortable with the water. Do it in stages. Take your time. Go again. Go to different stores. See which store you like better as a store. Which person that works in the store you like better. Take your time. Allow yourself the experience, because at the end of the day, you'll be so happy that you did. It will teach you about yourself. It will
Mhm.
make you feel more comfortable in your own skin, and you'll grow as a person in different ways that probably you didn't even think of, and probably both of us never even thought of.
Lovely. I think that's a great piece of advice, just to walk around and listen, and as you say, that self-discovery. And if it's intimidating and if it's overwhelming, just, yeah, be super kind to yourself and just ask, well, I wonder why that is. There's something there. And if you're feeling it, it's real. It's just seeing what's there and the why, discovering that about yourself. Well, we're speaking, I'm in France and you're in Toronto, and you haven't been able to come to Paris for the last Salon de la Lingerie, but I know you love Paris and that you will come as soon as you can. But what do you love most about Paris when you come to visit?
Croissants. I love every I love everything. I I honestly like everything about Paris. Well, I don't remember if I told you, but I have a lot of family in France. My uncle came to study at Sorbonne before from Romania before the war. I have a very strong connection because he fought in the underground, and he was friends with Charles de Gaulle. He actually won a Légion d'honneur, and so I have a lot of family in France, and je viens souvent, and I spend time with them, first cousins. So France is very close to my heart in every way.
Well, I'm looking forward to not only seeing you, but we could definitely share a glass of champagne. I think that would be the best way to sort of celebrate the connection and shared passion of lingerie and France and all things beautiful.
We have to tell your listeners that we met a few years ago when you came to Toronto to talk about your book, and there was immediate connections between the two of us. I felt like I know you forever. You were so sweet, and you bought me a book to teach me about writing, because I would like them so much. But when I listen to you talk and your choice of words and your expression, I think maybe writing is not for me, because you're really amazing. And I'm going to steal something from this podcast. I love when you said that it's what taking care of your bras is a beauty routine. Not, you didn't say routine, you said a different word. And I thought this is such a
I said
nice
ritual.
ritual, beauty ritual. I think it's such a beautiful way to think about yourself and your lingerie, to include that in your beauty ritual. I will use that with your consent.
Absolutely. It was a way of just connecting myself more to the instead of, again, being told that you have to hand wash because that's the rule. I was like, well, then guess what? Nobody wants to do that. But when you think about it as a beauty ritual, it's an entirely different, and what else a different process. And what else happened? It moved me away from the visual aspect of the self-judgment. And when I was washing my lingerie, without knowing it, I was actually coming into contact with the fabric and feeling it differently. And I had no judgment to my underwear or my bra when I was washing it. And I was actually beginning to explore the textures of the fabric and feeling it in my fingers differently. And it also helped changed how I put it on because I'd also taken care of it. And if I wasn't quite ready to take care of myself by taking care of my lingerie and putting it on, I put it on differently. And then I started treating myself differently too by putting it on. And I don't put it on in the same way. I'm not hopping around on one foot in the bathroom trying to get dressed quickly. I give myself the time to put these pieces on the right way. And guess, like everything, the more attention you give, you change the process. The whole thing changes. Just little shifts, just little shifts. And then I started getting dressed in front of the mirror.
That's so beautiful.
Yes, very happy to share rituals.
It's little step of self-love.
Oh, Liliana, thank you so much for joining me today and for helping women find their self-expression through lingerie. It's been an absolute delight, honor, and privilege to speak with you.
I thank you so much, and a bientôt.
To learn more about Linea Intima, visit the website lineaintima.ca. That's LINEAINTIMA.ca. Or on Instagram at Linea Intima Lingerie. That's LINEAINTIMALINGERIE. You can also find the links on our episode page. And thank you. Merci for listening to Paris Undressed. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share and subscribe so we can continue to connect our stories one bra at a time. You can find me, your host, Kate Kemp Griffin, on all socials at Paris Undressed and Catherine Kemp Griffin. That's KATHRYN KEMPGRIFFIN. Paris Undressed is produced by Paris Underground Radio. And for more on this show and shows like it, please go to parisundergroundradio.com. Merci, and à la prochaine.
This episode of Paris Undressed was produced by Jennifer Garrity for Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please visit parisundergroundradio.com.